Hi guys, and welcome to a Museum Minute with the Kamloops Museum and Archives. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan and I'm the museum educator here at the KMA. Before we begin today, I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded territory of the First Nation. Now, just behind me on one of our talking walls here, you'll see a photo of Bill Miner. For those of us who live on a train route in British Columbia, Bill Miner is probably a pretty familiar face. But rather than talking about Bill Miner today, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about William Fernie, the man who's actually credited with his capture. Now, William Fernie is a pretty interesting character in and of himself. He's born in England in 1868, he's educated there, and he moves to Canada in 1887. He spends the first 2 years of his time in Canada in Minnedosa, Manitoba, so a bit of a tongue twister there, but he's working as a farmhand. After those 2 years, he decides that farming isn't for him and continues westward to British Columbia. Once he arrives here, he spends a little bit of time working as a fisherman on the west coast. He also spends some time in the Chilcotin working as a cowhand and eventually settles in the Kamloops area where he takes out a preemption on 320 acres of land in Black Pines, which is up in the North Thompson Valley. Now, of course, Bill Miner is William Fernie's most famous capture. In 1906, he, with the help of a band of Chilcotin trackers, is able to track Bill Miner through the woods for about 2 days and then give his location at Douglas Lake to the Northwest Mountain Police. You can see too here that Bill Miner is of course caught with his 2 accomplices as well. Now, William Fernie also served in the Boer War. He serves with the Strathcona Horse, going overseas in 1900 and returning in 1901 when he joins the BC Provincial Police and is appointed as the local constable for the Kamloops area. 5 years later, he's appointed as the chief constable, and following his role as an intelligence officer in the First World War, he's actually appointed as a police inspector. Of course, we've talked a little bit about Bill Miner and his capture, but William Fernie is also credited with the capture of C.H. Williams and Louis Paquette, as well as 10 German prisoners of war who escaped from a Vernon internment camp in 1915. Once he returns from the First World War, William Fernie also serves a term as the commanding officer of the BC Light Horse. Now, in addition to all of this, William Fernie is also an avid outdoorsman and sportsman. He enjoys polo, tennis, and badminton, and plays in matches all around the province. He also serves as the president of the Polo and Tennis Club of Kamloops for a brief period of time. He's also instrumental in getting the Boron Lake Game Reserve set aside, which will of course eventually become a provincial park. Now, William Fernie was married. His wife's name is Fernie. She was also born in London, educated, interestingly, in German. And keep an eye out on Friday because she's going to be one of our famous faces featured on our posts. So keep an eye on our social media. Thank you so much for joining me for a Museum Minute, and we'll see you next time.